Greetings and welcome to the 1-6 Scale Man Proudly presents. You know what time it is and day it is. It's comic book talk with friends all day, every day. So glad to have everybody here. Come on, it's Monday. It's Monday night. You know, it's a good time to just sit around, talk about comics with your boys, and just relax and to just indulge and just take in the nostalgia. Today, it's all about the devil. You know who he is, Daredevil. Um, and how this is going to be translated, his, upcoming or soon to be Disney Plus show, what we'll see, what iteration we'll actually see, the history of Daredevil. We'll kind of break a lot of it down. Also how it may affect other IPs. If how this will affect, Echo with the Echo currently in production right now. It's going to be a lot to really cover. But the excitement is on. We now know that Charlie Cox is the new Daredevil, that he's actually in the MCU and that we're going to see it. So, yeah, we're going to dive in. And good discussion tonight. But so glad to have everybody here with us and the boys here with us, the usual suspects. What's going on with y'all, brothers?
What up? What up?
Good to be here.
What's going on
I'm
with
glad you
y'all?
cleared that up. I thought tonight was about Mephisto.
Nah.
He's gonna make a cameo.
A deal. So when I said a deal with the devil or the Daredevil, it just means a deal with the Daredevil and the deal that Marvel made and how that will basically, or the MCU made and Disney made, and how that will basically be, how that will affect the House of Mouse.
Mephisto will be part of the discussion tonight, though.
Possibly. Yeah.
He's gonna make an appearance on Daredevil.
Yeah. So anyway,
He's gonna cameo.
what's up, Vinny? How's your day, man? How was your weekend, bro? Besides the simple fact that I saw you at Hershey Park, man, how'd your weekend go?
Yeah, man. I played with you Saturday afternoon and got away to the park for a minute, which was much needed respite. I got to check out the new ride they got there, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful weekend. So I enjoyed the weather. Other than that, it's been just nonstop work for me. So I've been just working my ass off is the gauntlet part of the season. So I'm just trying to get through all these big jobs, keep everybody happy, and haven't been able to catch up as much on reading as I wanted. But there's been so much to binge on TV. So between Boys and Stranger Things and Kenobi, I've had my been up to here with amazing stuff streaming to watch. So that's been enough. That's kept me when I'm not working, and there's been so much to watch. So
that's not enough because we got Ms. Marvel on Wednesday.
Ms. Marvel's right around the corner too, and then more. Running. So yeah, lots of amazing stuff on all the different streaming platforms. It just keeps coming and coming. It's an amazing time to be a geek and fan of all this stuff, man. It's so much stuff.
It most definitely is, man. It definitely is a good time to be a geek, especially with all the content, the amazing content, the new announcements.
I think I can't remember if it was her. I'm almost positive it was. I seen the clip and I meant to go back and look it up, but I think the actress who plays Miss Marvel did an interview and second guessed Feige and said that the only thing she doesn't like is Feige's wrong. It's the MCU is not 616, and that she disagrees with Feige on that. And the balls on that little girl to be like, I know.
I sent you guys that video clip. And Jason was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh boy."
For a young actress who hasn't really made her name yet, to be like, I just gotta tell everybody how I feel like that. I love that.
Because she's a comic book fan. She's like, I'm that first. I'm the actress second.
Yeah,
it's so perfect because she's absolutely fucking right.
She won me over right there.
Yeah, she is. But here's the thing, bro. Because even watching that, it's like it's crazy because we know it's not, but then from Kevin Feige's perspective, I sort of understand.
The only perspective I would agree with is if it's 838 that feels that we're 616. So technically, we could name ourselves whatever iteration that we want. So when we see Reed in our universe or the MCU's universe, he could name it whatever he wants if they start numbering universes. So in that respect, they could still retcon it in a way. But it's not fucking 616. That's the comic books.
Yeah, it's definitely not 616. But I think that they destroyed the the thought of 616 moved like films ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like the thought of it, everything was kind of manipulated and changed. So we knew
I mean,
that.
Hulk
Okay,
alone
Yeah.
is not 616.
The
exactly.
Hulk,
So
yeah, the Hulk,
should be-
Thor
it
is
should
not 616 either.
I don't want it page for page like the comics. It's a good thing that it's different, but I
Yeah.
also don't want them going back and changing the comics to fit the narrative that's going on in films.
Right.
Yeah,
You
I
know
don't
what
want that
I'm saying?
either. Yeah,
Like when they made
Yeah.
Wanda
Yeah.
and Pietro, when they changed up their origin to match the
Origin.
films, that was bullshit.
hmm
Bullshit.
well,
Them
here's the
going through
thing.
and all that.
Here's the thing, real quick though, because speaking of that, changing the narrative to fit the actual MCU. There's a lot that might change, and there are a lot of characters in the MCU that we might lose, literally, like
Mhm.
literally lose, and it's not because of other companies. It's because of
Free-
copyrights
Yeah, right.
that we're in danger of losing certain characters. Number one, Spider-Man. We're in danger
Yep.
of actually losing that character right now, and
Yeah.
that's
Spider
terrible.
Man still don't have the Hulk.
That's terrible.
Anybody
bro.
has, if anybody can, figure out loopholes around losing characters to copyright with free use laws expiring, is the mouse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
they'll
not
figure
so.
something out.
It's not, but it's not free use. It's actually because the same thing is actually ridiculously enough is happening to Top Gun Maverick right now,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So with Top Gun Maverick, for example, the original movie was based off of an article in some like West Coast magazine, or whatever, like
Yeah.
36 years ago, right?
Yeah, the World
And-
Magazine.
Yeah, and they were supposed to, and so they bought the rights, but there's this new law basically where I think it's like 32 or 36 years or whatever. It's a 30-something years after somebody sells the rights to an IP, they can basically get the rights back.
They can petition
And-
to get those rights
What?
back. unless
Yeah,
it's still made.
and
yeah.
and that happened with Top Gun. Because remember, this Top Gun movie was supposed to come out in 2019, but it didn't because it
Yeah.
got delayed a little bit, and then the pandemic. It was supposed to come out early
Then
2020, and so
COVID
then
hit.
it didn't. And that's when
Yeah.
the rights actually expired, and somebody was asleep at the wheel at Paramount, didn't take care of that, and now the family of the guy who wrote the original article and sold the rights, and he passed away, but his family is suing Paramount to actually pull the movie from theaters
Oh
right
my
now.
God,
Now, obviously,
man.
they don't want it pulled
Not gonna
out.
happen.
They just want like, hey, here,
They want some money.
give us $30 million
Yeah.
so you can keep this
They want some
money
money.
making
That's all
machine
it's
going.
about. So
But that's what's happening. It's the higher profile one is Marvel, because there are a number of characters like Spider-Man and stuff like that where
Mhm.
the families of like Stan Lee was estranged from his family. He was not on the same page with his family, but his surviving family is now trying to sue Marvel and get rights to certain characters back. And I mean, Marvel is backed by Disney. They've got deep enough pockets, so that'll we're not going to lose. We're not actually going to lose these characters in terms of like in the films and stuff. But Disney's going to end up probably paying through the nose.
Just pay 'em
their
off.
lawyers can.
That's
Yeah,
what's
just pay 'em off.
what it boils down to. Disney's just going to have to cut some more checks. That's what it always boils down to.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
pay them off.
At least they have at least Marvel is backed by such a massive company like Disney that Disney's going to pay it off,
Mhm.
and we
Yeah.
shouldn't lose them. But yeah, it is kind of crazy. That law is really weird. I'm all for supporting the creators of things, and I'm all
Oh,
for
yeah, me too, yeah.
compensation. If your
Yeah,
if your storyline that you wrote in the comics is adapted to $1 billion movie, I
Right,
absolutely
they
think
should get
that
paid.
comic book writer and creator should be compensated
Right.
fairly.
Right.
But the lawsuits and that's all kind of crazy. So they got to figure out how to do it the right way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think at the end of the day they will. I mean, because that's what it is. It's a scare tactic to me.
Mhm.
Is that okay? Time's up. Either you offer us money or we have the rights to take back something that we've, you know what I
not
mean?
cool.
So
Yeah.
and just imagine imagine something like Spider-Man being taken from the MCU and the DCEU actually puts their hands in and say, hey, we want the character.
We
So
want
it's
Spider-Man.
crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy how things, but not saying it's going to happen. Like I said, it is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
scare tactic, a way to get money. But I
Mhm.
mean, this is where we're at right now. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those situations where, which it kind of even leads into, what we're going to talk about tonight. I mean, first off, we're talking about Daredevil. You know what I mean? Just the history of the character, but also where that character is going to actually fit. And if my biggest question is right now with the Echo show currently in production, I there's no doubt in my mind, but then again, it's like I don't know. Like I want to say that it's very possible that we could see Charlie Cox in Echo, probably more towards the end.
I think
Um,
I think I think so.
you know what I mean? But it's just like I don't know because Disney is known to kind of change the narrative. So what we think, and that's why like I never deal with speculation. I'm just kind of taking myself out of that whole speculation realm and just waiting to see what we see.
They
Um,
have given us some clues. They
mhm,
have they've said that the not all, but like a large portion at least of this Echo show, at least the first season, if they do multiple seasons, is going to be outside of New York. It's going to be on the res. Okay. And my gut tells me that they're going to be adapting a specific run of the Daredevil comics that kind of like right after a particular storyline, it shifted to a whole like 5-6 issue Marvel Knights banner focused on Echo after her introductory run, and it's like issue like 51 through 56, and it was around 2001, where it talks about the reservation, and it talks about her experiences on there with her father, and it talks about certain people that she knew there. And I think that's going to be a large portion of what gets adapted for this show. Now that kind of happens simultaneously as she's remembering those kinds of things, and then she comes back to Hell's Kitchen after, like, long after, like a couple of years after she had shot Kingpin and he was blinded for a while and stuff like that. And then, but Matt had started seeing another woman, actually a blind woman, Mila, and she comes back and he's already in a relationship and he's kind of taken out the Kingpin again. And so there's a struggle about her trying to come back to New York and what that's like. So I think that might be an element of it, but the thing that's missing right now from the MCU is they had a relationship. They were actually in a relationship together before she left. So now she's coming back to New York, but she doesn't have that same relationship with Daredevil because Hawkeye was kind of substituted for the Daredevil character in the storyline from the Hawkeye show. So we don't know if they're going to go that kind of romantic relationship route. And if they do, how do they do that without having it, been started already in her introduction? So they are going to have to adjust some things. But my money, if I had to put on it, was that like 5-6 issue run is going to largely serve as the basis for this new show.
Do you think Kingpin will make an appearance on this show at all?
Possibly, but the thing is, I almost don't want him to. And the reason being is that what happened in the comics after Kingpin was blinded, after he was shot, and yes, like people in the chat, people watching, Kingpin is not dead. He got shot in, again, it's comic books, but like he got shot and was blinded and then had reconstructive surgery and then could see again, because again, comics. But so he wasn't killed at the end of Hawkeye. In the books, the same thing happens. He's blinded. He is gone for a while. He comes back and he's blind. And there's a really great storyline, which I'm going to talk about later tonight, because that's one of the things that I think they should kind of steer into for this new Daredevil show. But he comes back.
Might as well talk about it now.
Well, there are a couple of things that come before it, so I will circle back to it. But bottom line is there's more of a journey for Kingpin and Matt Murdock to go on without Echo there. That I think they need to do that first, and you know what I mean, and maybe weave Echo into that story. But I don't think it makes sense to have Kingpin in her story, at least not prominently, without taking those other steps first, because he's got to come back, and there's a whole element to him being blind like Daredevil, and now dealing with that, and and the weakness that portrays to his crew, and whether or not they try and overthrow him. And so there's a lot to it that I don't think just putting him as a main component into Echo's show will do justice.
Well, maybe a flashback, because he did help Razor.
He could. There could be some flashback elements, sure. But the actual like post being blinded by her, that I think post Hawkeye stuff. I don't think they're gonna do too much with that in the present just yet.
Okay, cool.
I see here. I have mixed feelings on this a bit, because the thing is, I think, and this is just my opinion, mind you, the richness of the development of Daredevil's character, the conflict, everything that he actually experiences, I think that it's a story to be told, in my opinion, before we ever even get to Echo. You know what I mean? Like, before that character is introduced.
Yes.
My thing is, it's like, I don't want them to do it just for the sake of, okay, yes, there could be hints, but I think that there should be a separate story told. And this is why I don't necessarily, in my opinion, I don't want either one of them to show up in her show yet. You know what I mean? Like,
we think they did it backwards, introducing her first, having her own show first, instead of had Daredevil first and then her.
Well, no, because I think that they're doing exactly what they planned on doing, and this was even actually set in place before they even knew that they were going to go the route of even introducing Daredevil. You know what I mean? This way.
Yeah, true.
So that what I'm saying is, I think that Echo, now mind you, it is a show that I don't think, and it's a sad way to say it based on the current climate, it is a show that I don't think can stand on its own 2 feet as of right now, unless it has a strong narrative. As much as I want it,
it's got to have that narrative. It's got to have that story.
It's got to be written well too, man.
Exactly. It has to be written well. And on top of that, they are. Now, I'm saying, in my opinion, I don't want it to be introduced, but I know that they will, because they have to have something strong to kind of help along this particular character and where it's going. But I think I have faith in the simple fact that it's going to be an incredible show.
I think they need to nail the writing on this, and I think they need to prove to audiences that Echo can stand on her own, that she is a great
about to say the same thing.
Does not need. I mean, I think some of her best stories
a ton
are
of cameos
and with Wilson Fisk. But I want them to give her the credit that she deserves and write a great Echo story. As much as I'm a big Daredevil fan, don't write a great Daredevil story where we just give you a little bit more of Echo. Give us an Echo story, and then bring her back to New York when the time is right and when it makes sense for her to be involved. But I 100% agree that I don't want them to start with her, and I don't want them to bring her back right at the beginning of Matt's story. And that's why there's a very, very specific storyline that I think they need to start with, in my opinion, for this new Daredevil show.
Well, to what you were saying, man, like you were saying earlier, I really think that if they're going to put her out there before Matt, they have to have the writing has to be good enough where she can stand on her own feet and hold her own weight. You know what I'm saying? Her show shouldn't be flooded with a lot of cameos if it's written well. You know, cameos shouldn't be put in to save a story like they did Mandalorian, with the soul and all this other stuff. I think that if that character is strong enough on his own to handle his own weight, she can make it. Echo was a dope character in the comics.
Oh,
so if they write her well.
She's a phenomenal character.
Yeah,
she's an absolutely phenomenal character. And Charlie the Unicorn, mentions it in the chat. Yes, her first appearance was in Daredevil #9. From the run that started in 1998.
Yep.
98. Yeah.
And it's an amazing introduction, and I absolutely love it. The issue is they can't pull that one for one into the MCU now because they basically swapped Daredevil out and brought in Hawkeye in the Hawkeye show as as the person that Fisk pointed to and said, "This is the one that killed your dad." That was her origin story with Daredevil and with Matt Murdock. So, and if you haven't read that, definitely read that run. It is absolutely phenomenal, and it's a great way to get introduced to these characters. But it's the run right before it's the run right before that where I think they need to start with this. And I'll start by saying, and we'll, before we get into like the different storylines, we'll say I'll see if you guys disagree or agree. My take: they should not make this season 4 of Netflix. This is not. I don't want this to be the same Daredevil Matt Murdock that we got in the Netflix show. As much as I love that show, people who are only familiar with that show and not the 60 some odd years of stories from the books don't understand that there's a lot more to this character than just what we saw on the Netflix show. And they'll be very limited. I love that show too, but we've had that show. So we have, there's the opportunity to do so much more that's new with this character, but still getting Charlie Cox to be able to play the character. But if we stick with Netflix, then we are already locked into a very narrow focus as far as what they've done with very key characters. For example, one of the biggest ones that has such an impact on Daredevil is Ben Urich, and he's dead now. So to me, that is one of the main reasons why I don't think this should be season 4 of Netflix. Well, this should be its own iteration.
That will cut out Bullseye, man. Like, I really want that Bullseye to come back, man. That rendition of him is freaking awesome.
Yeah, but we can still have Bullseye, just not that one.
They have a very tricky, slippery slope to fight because they obviously have, 3 seasons that most of their audience will have seen, but yet its origin is integral going forward, and they can't do the show just expecting that people know everything about them, so they have to go back and tell that story again. But it's Marvel, and Marvel Studios loves putting their own spin on things, so I think they definitely will use the same actor and character and give us something very different. I expect that we'll see a lot of the things that the Netflix show didn't utilize or didn't show done and fleshed out more. And there's so much, like Brendan said, there's so much more that they didn't show us in that show, and they focused a lot on Karen Page, and they focused a lot on some stories that they could tweak and go around, and there's tons that they can do. And I feel like they'll they're in a tricky spot because the emphasis and the correlation with Echo and Kingpin with the with him going blind has so much more weight after you've already known Daredevil for years. So it is a little backwards because after 40, 50 years of Daredevil, and then here's a character who's deaf as opposed to blind, and here's Kingpin who karma is caught up to him, and now he's blind and has to deal with what he has to deal with. That means a little bit less when they've been introduced before he was, so they have that to face. But I also feel like I don't want all those reasons to be something that is like, oh well, how would they do it, and it'd be it's not even worth it. I'm sure that they are going to just tackle it anyways. They're just going to put a different spin on it. And what I feel like they are going to attempt and accomplish with this is they are not going to come in and say, we're going to give you this raw, gritty, bloody, emotional series that we've seen on Netflix. We're going to probably see something more along the lines of Moon Knight, where it's a character piece studying all the shit that Daredevil went through. And that's going, in my opinion, is going to be it's going to be a double-edged sword, because I feel like there's no way that we are going to get what a lot of people are hoping for from the show. And I think unfortunately, Moon Knight proved that we're gonna get.
So you rather have Daredevil toned down?
I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm saying that's what we're gonna get.
Oh,
I think that's
well, okay, yeah. True.
I think Moon Knight proved that they're gonna give us what they think we need as opposed to what we want. It's like
Mhm.
you're not gonna get another bloody, gory, and drama heavy, Netflix type of show. We're going to
Mhm.
put way more of the experience points on the experience tree into drama and character growth and development into Matt Murdock and I don't think that we're going to be seeing the hallway scene. I don't think we're going to be seeing Bullseye stabbing Electro with the side. I don't think we're gonna be seeing that stuff. I think Moon Knight is one of the more violent and bloody characters, and it's something that we all were like, well, how are they gonna do Moon Knight? And they completely flipped the script and gave us, cerebral psychoanalysis type of show on Moon Knight, and that was great. But I think that was to kind of set the tone and bring your bloodlust expectations for Daredevil down and realize that is not what they're going to be focused on for Daredevil. And that's my opinion. They could prove me wrong. This could be this they could prove me wrong. This could be like the Daredevil, violence level that we see in Netflix, but I'd bet good money against it. However, it's still Daredevil, and we're still going to get some dope shit. And I'm sure that once we see it, I'm going to be happy with how they, do their own spin on it. But I don't think that they're going to go in trying to catch lightning in a bottle again, like Netflix did. And it's going to be very tough to. They're going to find angles and stories that the Netflix show didn't address. And I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be here. Let's pick up where we left off with season 3. And they're going to, they have to kind of go into this just assuming that there is a lot of people who will watch anything that, Marvel MCU does. And
true.
Maybe not was up on the Netflix shows. You know what I mean? Like they can't, because if they wanted to all tie in, they got to do it their own way. And you look at what they did with almost every character that they've tackled. They've made some major changes to every character to put their own stamp on it. And I think they'll do the same thing with Daredevil.
Jason, now the question you asked, though, I think that's the roadblock that people are having, because what you said, and I understand why people are saying this, but what you said is, so you want a watered down Daredevil. I genuinely believe that's the wrong way to look at it, because when you say you want a watered down Daredevil, there are a couple things that are problematic with that. But the first one is that you're only comparing, and I understand it, but you're only comparing whatever Marvel and Disney give us, which we haven't even seen yet, to the Netflix interpretation of this character. There's almost 60 years worth of comic books to pull from, where there's a lot more to this character than just what we saw on Netflix. Now, yes, a lot of the runs are very gritty, brutal style stories, but a lot of them are more examinations of the duality of Daredevil, of the law versus justice side, of the vigilante versus his Catholic faith and guilt side, and examinations of those. And a lot of times it's those elements and more kind of, in the shadows, implied violence, and not just brutal, bloody, gory kind of stuff like Kingpin decapitating somebody with a car door. That was shocking, and it was cool, but that's not the end all be all of this character. And so when people are saying, oh, we don't want them to ruin Daredevil and give us a watered down version, again, we're looking at a very narrow interpretation of Daredevil and ignoring a lot of the source material that they can pull from to tell some really great stories.
Well, I was going to say, they could use the same recipe, just have a wider lens on the camera, as far as like a wider,
a lot of cutaways, a lot of off-screen death, a lot of violence, focused on the blood after the fact. We're going to see Daredevil getting fights, and then afterwards his face isn't going to be all red. it's going to be a lot of
Mhm.
subtle shit like that. And,
Possibly,
and
but
that is going to be
I
what
hope not.
people are saying. Like that Netflix show wasn't just about blood and guts and violence. It also had a lot of high level drama, and I think that
Yeah,
a lot
yeah, I agree.
best storylines from Daredevil are, what people think of as, your Frank Miller and your, a lot of storylines are more brutal and violent, and a lot of people
Mhm.
like that. That representation was brought to the screen with Netflix, and feel like it'll be a step back to not have that on screen, because that
Right.
is a character that shows that he's not Superman. He is gonna bleed if you punch him in the mouth, and
Right.
that's important.
Because
And to say that if they don't do that, that it's okay, it's no big deal. I kind of disagree with, because part of what
yeah,
makes him so special is like that Batman element. That is, he's just a dude who
Right.
has he
right.
says his skills, but he can be shot, he can be stabbed, he can be broken. And seeing that
Right.
violence, it means so much more when he runs into a gang to
A
stop,
brawl. Mhm.
because
Mhm.
he's you don't know that he's going to be okay, like with Wolverine or
Mhm.
Captain America.
Mhm.
They're going to be okay, but Daredevil might not be. So that
Right.
violent grit is important with this character. But
That's why I love the show so much.
absolutely,
Mhm.
there's a whole another side of Daredevil that's absolutely incredible. When you just
Now,
The
just
one, the
Murdoch
one thing, the
just
one thing that I wanted,
in a courtroom alone is
yeah.
now,
something
see, that's
that
what I was
nothing
saying.
to do
That's
with
what I wanted to
violence.
say.
But
Just
Because
the one thing that I say, the one thing I do say that I want is because
Mhm.
there's layers to Matt Murdock. There's even more layers
Right.
to to him
You
as
getting that? What I was
Daredevil.
about to say. Yep.
And the thing is, I want put it this way. I want a Daredevil that is slightly more unleashed. And the reason why I say that
Exactly.
is because of the simple
Yes.
fact that we know that he is fully capable.
Right.
Daredevil is fully capable.
Right.
Like you just sheer tech, he is. So I want a lot of that to really, really be explored. And the thing is,
Because.
I felt as though with the Netflix shows, even though they
Mhm.
gave us a great show, they gave us a great iteration. I think that
Mhm.
they kind of slightly held back on him
If-
as
Oh
the character
man, you hit it.
in that
You
character
hit it.
development.
You hit it.
That's the part that I
You hit
think
it.
that they kind of held slightly back
You hit it.
on, that I wanted to see
Exactly.
more of. They got more
Mhm.
they got more focused in on the melodramatics
Yeah.
of
Yes.
the character
Yes.
and what he was going through. We get that.
Right.
The one thing I don't want to
Right.
see is an origin story. I don't want them to go back.
Right.
Marvel's good
I
for
don't want
not
that.
really giving us too many
I don't
origin
want that.
stories. So I
You're
don't
right.
want to do that.
Daredevil didn't even get to how badass he could be on the show. They were
Exactly.
This is what I was
Exactly.
trying to say. Like Netflix did it right. They got a formula and they did it right. But they only hit the tip of the iceberg and they hit a home
Yeah.
run. All
Yeah.
this is Daredevil left. You know what I'm saying? His
yeah.
character is
So
all underwater. So it's
what
like
you have to remember, though,
why change it? Why change it dramatically?
well,
You
because
could
you have
change it
because you have
somewhat.
60
Tone it
years
down
of books.
somewhat.
It's because you have 60 years
That's
of
what I'm
books that
saying.
aren't
But-
just that Netflix interpretation. And there were a lot of elements, like you said, of the Frank Miller
No,
stuff
but I'm saying
that
even
they pulled
Netflix
in
held
for
back.
that show. I know, but
Yeah, but
again, even them holding back in the version that they did, there is still so much. It's not that they have to go deeper necessarily. There's width. There's a whole lot that they can cover with this character that isn't just
Mhm.
in that direction. Okay.
Mhm.
And
right.
a couple of things that we have to remember. First, and I like the Frank Miller Daredevil years. I absolutely love him. But
Mhm.
that kind of like vulnerability that Matt shows when he feels every punch, he feels every cut. He's
Mhm,
not,
mhm.
he's not invincible. That comes
Yeah.
through, in my opinion, even more so in the Brian Michael Bendis and the Ed Brubaker runs.
So definitely,
And so
they're going to
with-
focus on Bendis stuff.
the Bendis,
Yeah.
there's a lot of really
Bendis
good
is
stuff
one
in
of
the Bendis stuff
the best
that
stuff
I
is
think
the
that
Bendis
they
and Frank.
should be doing early in this.
Mhm.
I would think they
Mhm.
should start just before it, but we'll do that in a sec. But the thing is, this version of Daredevil and this kind of one, we don't know what they've given us. Do I think it's going to be as kind of hardcore as Netflix? I probably not, but we don't know. We haven't seen everything, and we've got to remember two things. One is that we never thought they'd put Daredevil and Punisher Netflix shows on Disney Plus alongside the rest of the MCU content, but they did.
I gotta ask you a question
And
about that too.
they are making an R-rated Deadpool.
Yep.
So I'm not saying the door is busted wide open, but it's cracked open a little bit more than any of us anticipated in terms of what they might be willing to do with Daredevil and certain other characters in this vein. Maybe, you know, and yes, I think they held back in certain respects, like Vinny said with Moon Knight. Maybe they're doing it gradually, right? We don't know exactly what the plan is. I'm still very, you know, we got a ways to wait before we see what they're going to do with this character in the MCU. But there's a lot that they can do that, again, I think people are, as much as I love Netflix, the Daredevil, I think people are getting kind of tunnel vision because there's stuff that they really liked about that. And they're afraid that they're going to lose the thing that they liked and not gain other things, or not aware of the other things that they're going to be able to gain outside of what we got in Netflix.
So hold up.
But even with Netflix, they left room for growth. There's a lot of room for growth even with the Netflix series.
But
there is, but we're narrowing it and not allowing for that growth with Marvel now.
But that's my point. And this is what I'm afraid of. That's one of the things that I am afraid of. Okay, of course, they can give us a certain iteration, but in a sense, and not even in a sense, I mean, it's quite proven that sometimes the MCU is tone deaf. Like they are. They're tone deaf when it comes to this. The development of certain characters, and also that range of and my thing is, if we've seen this version of Daredevil on a Netflix show, okay, so we got that version of it. We got a very successful iteration of that particular character that a lot of people gravitated to just because of the way the story was told. Now, I want something different. I don't want the same iteration, but with that basically being said, I'm afraid I'm slightly resistant and I'm slightly reserved because, again, if we look at what they did with Moon Knight, yes, we got the character that we wanted to see on film, but they did it a totally different way. In a way, it ended to me was kind of like suspect, because it's like now we don't necessarily know where it's going to go, if we'll ever see, when we'll see the character again. We have no, because they haven't said anything. But and this is what I'm talking about with Daredevil. There are layers with Matt Murdock, layers of his interaction, layers of what he's been through, not only with Kingpin, not only with Elektra, not only with Bullseye, not only with
the hand,
with the hand. It's he's been, there's layers with even him and his inner demons on decision making. But at the same time, it's like I want to see that even if Disney decides not to give us that gore, even if they decide not to give us, at least give us a well fleshed out story where you're not taking away from the character.
The writing is key.
The writing is really suspect sometimes when it comes to these characters. And the thing is, with Kevin Feige saying that like it's an important character, one of his favorite characters, I hope and pray that he gives it its just due and its space to breathe, and that we'll see something good. Before y'all continue, though, let me actually read this super chat by Jonathan King, 999. I got to address the chat too, because I didn't do that in the first off. We got, hi, gents. Have you guys read Daredevil Ninja? I believe that was Bendis' first crack at Daredevil. It's a simple, fun, action-packed story that could reintroduce Daredevil in the hand for the MCU. Could possibly, because I actually have that book. Real quick, while I'm doing that, let me address the chat real quick, because we got some people in here. I forgot to address it off the top. We got Charlie the Unicorn, because I knew this was going to be a dope discussion. And Brendan's wearing his red for a reason. We got M Dyson 829 in the building. We got Tobar's in the building. My man Keith, bro, he's the coolest, one of the coolest cats. I had a chance to spend time with Keith and Cali, bro, and Vinny, Brendan. Yo, the man knows his shit. He's the comic head. He's a comic head, and he knows classics. So Keith is on point. I'm so glad Keith is in the building, man. We got Luminar 843. I would love to have him on here one of these days too, because he's a dope dude. He was in the Navy. He's a Navy brat. He's been around the world and yah. But yeah,
Nice. We got another big comic book head and Daredevil super fan in the chat, Mr. Terry Smith.
Yeah, is Terry here?
Mr. Terry Smith. He's got his Brubaker omnibus, and I've got
mine
Terry
is in the building. My man Terry is in the building. Terry Smith.
Terry, what up, boy?
Terry, my mentor is in the building. Thank you for coming through, Terry.
We need to be a poser back right now.
Yeah, the guy who pretty much introduced me to posing and who I've studied.
Yeah, man. Me too,
I tell everybody I was secretly his understudy. He just doesn't want to claim it.
And he's right. That Brubaker omnibus dropped today.
Yeah, definitely, man. So yeah, thank you for being here, Terry. TK592 is in the building. We got my daughter, Skyla, in the building. My protege, my baby girl, who she told me I made her a nerd. That's a good thing. We got Luminar in the
building. Rule the world.
Exactly. We got S Beam is in the building. My guy S Beam all day, every day. We got Latoya T. Thank you for being here, baby. We got David Lynch, Charlie the Unicorn. Let's see here. We got El Profesoro is in the building, definitely. Two Fern. Renz Talentino, artist extraordinaire. Let's see who else we got in here. Man, we got quite a few people in this building today. So glad to see everybody in here. Gilbert El Nazan, thank you for basically being here. We got my man Commander Gee, aka H Green, is in the building. Star Wars was just Star Wars is the building. I think I saw him too. We got Marvelous Reviews, my man. Marvelous Reviews. We got some people in here from Figure Flex Friday doing their thing. Definitely.
Oh God, I gotta apologize for that. Oh my God,
man, you're just funny. It was funny as hell. But anyway, thanks everybody. We got Lizzie Venus in the building. Let's see here. Yeah, man, we got quite a few people stopping through. But yes, so yeah, that was my only thing, man. Is that I want a great story. I want a story told, no matter what other, like if they sacrifice if you sacrifice anything else, don't sacrifice the writing. Don't sacrifice
the writing.
I have faith that Kevin Feige is not going to fuck this up because one, he loves Daredevil. Daredevil is one of his all-time favorite characters, and he loved Charlie Cox in the Netflix show, and he liked the Netflix show, and he openly admitted that. And he did not openly admit love for those non-MCU properties when they were being run by other people like Jeff Loeb at Marvel TV and stuff back in the day. So I have faith that he is going to knock this one out of the park. And as a couple people mentioned in the chat, and I completely agree, two things to keep in mind. I think Luminara had mentioned it. Disney Plus added parental locks, which again gives a little bit more leeway for them to do some more, adult type content.
Adult theme
I saw that.
And then no spoilers for people who have not yet watched all 3 episodes currently of Kenobi, but there was some violence that was unexpected in one of those episodes.
I loved it. My
and we're starting to see that envelope being pushed a little bit more and more with Disney Plus. And so I think we have to just keep an open mind in saying that, like, look, Daredevil could still be a pretty badass show.
I gotta ask you a question after this.
Go ahead.
So Skylar mentioned earlier in the chat about Frank. So do you think that with Moon Knight being down already in the books, we got Echo coming and we got Daredevil coming, do you think there is a chance that this opens the door for Frank Castle at all?
I hope not.
You don't think so?
No, it's not that if I think it will or not. I'm saying I hope not. I don't want them to do.
Oh, you don't want Frank in DC in the
right
Disney universe.
Not right now. I don't want a Punisher right now where they're gonna, cut away every time somebody gets shot.
Cookie cut.
You want to feel more comfortable, see what they'll do with a couple of these, like Daredevil and stuff like that, and then see if
you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
punishment.
I want them to use properties like Daredevil, Moon Knight, and keep putting that envelope more and more and more, and test the feedback from do test groups, do all their corporate bullshit before, dude. Even Deadpool, whatever, before they feel like they're comfortable enough that there's a market, a lane that they could put a Punisher movie or show out,
because
they wouldn't be scared to do it. I don't want them to test the waters with Punisher. I want them to test the waters with everybody else and wait to do Punisher until they're absolutely confident that they could do Punisher the way that we know Punisher should be.
But if Deadpool drops,
because
they gotta bring Berthold.
Deadpool's different,
Deadpool. I don't even trust Deadpool's getting made.
Oh, they already get made.
Oh no, they're literally
already starting it.
The
writing's almost done.
Have been working on it, and they've even pre-production is already in full swing.
Yeah.
And the writers
they're already starting it, and it's rated R.
I have no idea what that's going to a Disney R-rated movie could be.
The writers have done interviews where they said that Disney has actually not been pushing back on them on anything that they've wanted to do.
So
again, we don't. The proof is in the pudding. We'll wait and we'll see the film and judge.
And that's what I mean. If they are using Deadpool as a guinea pig to see if they can,
then you feel more comfortable with Frank
and do a bunch of shit first.
Yes, I got you.
Okay, you know what? Fuck it. All right, cool. We'll do a Punisher the way he should be. Then that's great. But I don't want to do it now while they're I feel like they're dipping the toe in the water. Like with parental locks. Let's see if we get any angry letters from soccer moms. Okay,
that's what
we're gonna do.
You
know what I mean? Like they're testing the waters. Let them figure out all the kinks.
Well, people were already mad, dog, that Punisher was on there. People were already complaining.
I think there's more of a chance, though. I think there's more of a chance that if we saw Frank Castle or if we saw more edgy content for some of these characters, I think it's more likely that it would be on Disney Plus than to be in the theaters. And the reason being, with the exception of Deadpool, because that proved massively lucrative in the box office for Fox. Remember, they're making Blade, but Blade is going to be PG-13 because when it comes to the films, I'm not saying that I'm excited about that. Believe me, I would prefer an R rating for Blade.
Is different. But you can have him kill. You can kill monsters and robots all day.
But you got
Blade.
The difference here, though, is that with the film properties, they're banking on parents taking their kids to the theater, and that's a big source of revenue for them. Whereas home viewing, parents can put the parental locks on, whatever. If fewer, of those kids end up getting to watch this, it's not taking money out of the coffers for those films, for those properties, for those shows. But if it's an R-rated film and fewer parents are taking their kid to see that in the theater, then the box office suffers. So I think if we're going to see more edgy, maybe even mature, like R-rated type content, I'm not saying we are going to outside of Deadpool. But if we are, I think it might be more likely that we see it on the TV side of things rather than in the box office. And it's just a guess.
I just feel that that the doors are opening somewhat.
Yeah, they are. I mean, look at Multiverse of Madness. I mean, that was gory. That was as far, I think, as you could push the PG-13 horror genre without crossing that threshold. Right. So they are trying to push that envelope. Again, it's a matter of how much they do and when they do and with which characters. But Daredevil is a good opportunity for them to show us that they're willing to do that.
Because I just feel like Punisher's like right there.
But ultimately, again, as we said before, it's not just the violence. It's not just that grit. It's got to be the right story. It's got to be the writing. And for me, that's why the run that I think they need to start with is Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil. All right, from 1998. They probably won't
be throwing any babies off the
Right. Now, obviously, they're going to adapt certain things. But
like you got to stop that part.
They're definitely going to adapt certain things. I don't think they're going to have they're not going to have the villain artificially inseminate a kid to simulate a virgin birth, right? Yeah. But there are going to be, I think, using Matt's religious faith to put him in a position where he's potentially going to do the unthinkable, right? And killing that child because he feels that that's a sort to save the people that he loves, All right.
Mhm.
And then we look, and especially if they bring the same actress back to be Karen Page, people loved her and got so attached to her. Now,
Yeah,
I mean, again,
Karen was a good
spoilers for
character.
anybody who hasn't read this run, but
Mhm.
in the end of that, Karen Page is killed by Bullseye. Okay,
Mhm.
that would provide a great emotional gut punch to
For
fans of the
Daredevil.
Netflix show who liked Karen
Mhm.
Page. They alluded to her kind of past drug abuse and criminal history in the Netflix show.
Yeah.
They just never, when she killed Wesley, they just never actually then delved all the way into it. But
Yeah.
you put somebody that he loves in jeopardy, she is lost to him. Okay. That is a very poignant story. And the thing is, there's a really, really cool way they could tie this into the MCU, because the guy that was behind everything, he got the information about who Matt Murdock was, who Daredevil was as Matt Murdock from Kingpin, and got the kind of ideas of like how to take Matt Murdock out. But the guy that was behind it all was Mysterio. All right. And Mysterio was going after him because with the clone sagas and stuff at the time, he couldn't get Spider-Man. And he was basically trying to commit suicide by cop, suicide by superhero, because the chemical that he was using for his illusions all those years gave him cancer and he was dying.
Just wanted to
And
die,
so
yeah.
he went and basically tried to just push Matt Murdock to the brink and destroy him, but have him kill him in the process. Right? He was trying to commit suicide, and it's a brilliant storyline. Okay, and that storyline, it was so good, and that would be a good way to bring Mysterio back into the MCU for us to find out Mysterio is alive, and he goes after Matt Murdock instead, because he's looking for a superhero to take on, because either Spider-Man is out of the picture, or because he doesn't remember who Spider-Man is because of Doctor Strange's spell. There could be any number of reasons, but you could bring him in, and then we could get Mysterio back in the MCU for further stories. You get a great storyline that sets up so much that can come after, because immediately after Kevin Smith, okay, you have the introduction of Echo, and those feed right into each other, and Echo's origin story. So if they do the Echo show right, and then you do this season of Daredevil with the Guardian Devil storyline, then it could all circle into them bringing them together, and then continuing on with the parts of a whole storyline from David Mack. Okay, and then right into Brian Michael Bendis's run after that. So that's why I think they need to start with Guardian Devil, because it feeds into the introduction of Echo, and then and you get the gut punch of losing Karen, and then it also feeds in immediately after that to the Kingpin dealing with his story and being blind for a time, and then Echo coming back to New York. So it brings all of these things together that they're teasing right now with the Echo show alone.
If Disney killed Karen, the Netflix fans will go nuts.
Not if it's done well. That's the thing. A character death is fine if it's done well, and if it feels cheap, then people are gonna be like, you did that.
Cheap,
but you got to also remember, they're not just creating a death out of thin air. This is a
from the comics,
well-received, massively popular storyline from.
They killed Robbie than if they had killed Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
This is
man. I really liked him as Robbie too, bro.
This is also dealing with the simple fact: if we actually get Karen in the MCU, like you can assume that, but if
we don't
get
know
that
right
iteration,
now,
we have no idea which route that they're actually going to go, because they might even bring Matt Murdock in with zero connective tissue to any of the characters that we actually know.
Could. And I hope they don't do that, though.
Do you think I
want Karen.
Do you think we'll get a Spider-Man crossover? Because they cross over a lot in the comics. We're going to get a lot in the comics.
Well,
That'd be
we already
dope.
had it
Like,
in No
We
Way
already-
Home.
yeah, we
I
had
do think
that.
they need to, because remember, Spider-Man is kind of in a reset point right now after No Way Home. So
Yeah.
and Daredevil and Spider-Man have a lot of connective tissue, especially actually Spider-Man comes in at the end after Karen Page is dead, when Daredevil is struggling with his faith and he's struggling with
That
the
would be
fallout
dope.
from that whole thing.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man
Yeah.
comes back in, and Daredevil is in his face. He's screaming, he's yelling at him, and he's talking about how nothing we do is makes a difference. It's a band-aid on leprosy. It's bullshit. Like, give me one thing that makes any of this worth it. And Spider-Man ends with one simple line. He's like, "You saved that baby girl's life." That was at the crux of the whole storyline in the Guardian Devil. And Matt just kind of stops and doesn't even say anything, because he's like, "Son of a bitch, you're right." Like, he had this
Something
crisis
like
of
that.
faith, but he, you know, and so I think bringing Peter in, and especially since we just established a connection with them in the No Way Home movie,
And No Way
I think
Home,
bringing Peter in, you know, maybe at the end after Mysterio is done, and you bring Peter in, and that's in a similar kind of way that they did at the end of Guardian Devil, could be really, really cool.
That'll be big, I think, for that TV show too, man. They have at least one big cameo. And if you're gonna do one big one, you gotta use Spider-Man, bro, because they cross over a lot.
I think that's
a be a dope partnership.
But there are two other very important characters, that one ancillary and one like straight on fucking critical. That Guardian Devil, and if they brought Peter in, would work within this whole framework. Okay, and that's Ben Urich and J. Jonah Jameson. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Ben Urich,
Jonah or Peter though.
What's that?
I definitely hope that they bring back Ben. They got to do that. I don't think we'll.
And I love the actor they had to play him in the first season too. I understand, and it was emotional. I was like, oh my god, when they killed him, and it was done well.
I couldn't believe they killed him. I was like,
but
oh
it
my
hurt,
god, dude.
Because
that hurt.
Here's the thing: if anybody hasn't read it, you have to read. There is. Basically, Brian Michael Bendis kind of started off by focusing in his run on Ben Urich. And there's this amazing storyline. It's called Wake Up. Okay. And in this storyline, Ben Urich is chasing this story about this like catatonic kid who he's like drawing comics with like Daredevil and this other made up character battling. And he's the son of a criminal called Leapfrog. All right. It was just like a D-list criminal, bank robber and whatnot. But the dad goes missing, the criminal goes missing, and the kid is catatonic, and cops don't care. Nobody cares. And Ben Urich is the one who's trying to figure this out. He's trying to figure out, why is this, what happened to this kid? Why is he talking about Daredevil, you know, in this catatonic state? And he's investigating this. The cops don't care. Daredevil's like, I have no clue, like what the issue is here. Eventually, what you come to find out as he's trying to uncover all this is that Daredevil was fighting Leapfrog. All right, Daredevil basically got like kind of embarrassingly, he got like knocked out and was unconscious. And the father, they were on the rooftop of his apartment building, and the kid came up and saw that his father was going to try and kill Daredevil, and there was this like exposed wire, and the kid grabbed it, and to stop him from killing Daredevil, who he thought was a hero, and his father was an abusive bastard, he shocked his father. His father fell off of the building and died, but he fell into a waste management, like a garbage truck, and that's why he disappeared and was never found again. All right. The kid was traumatized because he essentially killed his own father when he saved Daredevil. And, and Ben Urich is going through this whole process of uncovering, you know, what happened to this kid. It is a very poignant, very like great story that really shows the importance of Ben Urich to Daredevil. Also, there's this moment where in the comics, J. Jonah Jameson is giving the shit to everybody at the Bugle because another paper outed Matt Murdock as Daredevil, and he's pissed off, and he's like trying to, you know, say, you guys missed the boat, you guys didn't get this scoop. And Ben stands up and says, I know who Daredevil is, and it's not Matt Murdock. just so he can kind of cover for him. And J. Jonah Jameson's threatening to fire him if he doesn't tell him, well, who is Daredevil? And he's like, no, fuck you, I'm not doing it. And you see this, and then Peter comes in and says, I know who Daredevil is too. And Ben's right, it's not Matt Murdock. And they have this connection there because they look at each other out on the street and they're like, I didn't know you knew. And they both know, even though he doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man. And there's that connection there with Matt and Peter and Ben and J. Jonah Jameson.
Man, that's a big miss, man.
It's not really, because that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know. There's a lot to be said about, because even the interpretation of what we actually got with Kingpin and Hawkeye was a different iteration. You know what I mean? We got a chance to see like an OP, strong as fuck Kingpin, but also slightly modified. And who's to say that they can't bring Ben Urich back in this particular television show? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that they're going to directly take from Netflix, which is an opportunity for the show to grow. But again, a lot of it is going to depend on the writing and how well they can actually pull it off and sink everything in. Because the importance of the writing to me is going to speak well to his relationship, even with Electro, bro. Because not one film has gotten it right, even slightly. And I'm just gonna, this is just my opinion, they didn't really get it right in the Netflix show, bro. They in my opinion, they just didn't get that right like I thought they would. So what's that?
I missed it. Hold on. I want to share some with you.
I think she's on the level though. She was on the level. She wasn't off. She was just close, but it wasn't all the way on, not 100% on Electro.
Yeah, it wasn't all the way in, but I think that they have an opportunity to do it. You know what I mean? Just they have to be smart about it. But that's what I want to see. But again, I think
these things you gotta. So what I'm sharing with you right now, just so you can see, I mean, this is art from the books, but this is specifically like Ben Urich, and first of all, the art style from run to run is so phenomenal with Daredevil. It's I think it pushes the boundaries in ways that others don't. But you see this art, and they incorporate like newspapers and things like that into the facts to really show. Cool. To really show these characters, and it's so cool when they do that newsprint style and they show Ben Urich, narrating these stories, and that's what like that Wake Up storyline was. It's great because they're showing Ben Urich like kind of almost as like a biographer of Matt Murdock and Daredevil, and Ben is a very moral person, and Daredevil is struggling with his morality when he's trying to be a vigilante, but also be a lawyer. And he's flat out said, like Matt Murdock said in the comics, he's like, as Daredevil, I get to save the world. As a lawyer, maybe I can fix it. I need them both. That's what I realized. The warrior and the lawyer, it doesn't work if I only have one, right? And it's true. But Ben represents both like a moral kind of compass for Matt, but he also represents vulnerability because he knows his secret identity and he's a newspaper reporter, right? Like the biggest scoop of his fucking career, he's got in his back pocket that he could use at any moment. And so it's like
he's the moral compass.
Right, he's the moral compass for Daredevil, but he also represents a vulnerability that he's never really. And the art style too, in this particular one too, Alex Maleev. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. They're like paintings, and they're so beautiful.
Both Quesada and Bendis deserve so much props because they've made the Daredevil books rely super heavily on bringing in abstract artists from David Mack to Alex Maleev. And it's been as much of a breathing, living part of
it's beautiful.
Exactly. And look at Echo, dude.
Writing has been
a beautiful picture, bro.
I think of all the mainstream comic books that have come and gone over the past 30 years, I think Daredevil has pushed the envelope as far as aesthetically, visually, what a comic book can be. almost more than
Look at
any other.
that. Look at the work, man. That's
And
that's
with
that's
the mainstream
that's
character.
impeccable, bro.
One of the huge, beautiful things that since basically the late '90s until now, they've put so much emphasis on not just telling good stories and having good art, but
It's like look at the texture.
Bending the rules of what we think visual storytelling can and should be. It's not all about have to fit in these square boxes and go left to right. They have broken so many rules from Mac to Gatos to Malieve, and it's such fucking amazing art throughout these books that
It's so abstract.
blown everybody away. Abstract art in a mainstream book. This isn't like an indie comic.
Yeah, and it's got a texture to it that other books don't have. It's got
So
look at
man.
that, and the way they deal with shadows.
Wow.
In the Daredevil books, it's just. I mean, like.
It's like a photo sometimes, bro.
I enjoy like these Daredevil runs from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like they're some of my absolute favorite from an art standpoint because you get this grit and this texture in the images that you just don't get in others. And it really shows like ways that I want to see some of these characters, like Typhoid Mary is another one. Like this just kind of gritty badass, like with the makeup on the one side of the face. Like there's so much to enjoy with the art here, and I want to see them trying to really incorporate that into the visual style of the show that we're gonna get. I want to see these frames brought to life on camera. And that's also why I want to see a more traditional Daredevil costume. I love the Netflix costume, don't get me wrong, but I want to see this on screen. Like there's so much potential with these costumes, with these designs. And again, you see that like in this art, for example, you see like how important Ben Urich is to Daredevil. To Matt Murdock's character. We need Daredevil and Ben Urich to be sharing that screen, and that's all the more reason why I think it's a great opportunity to have Charlie Cox bring in some of what we loved from Netflix, but still add new elements from the books that we haven't seen on screen and bring back characters that we can see done in amazing fashion, like Ben Urich, like Bullseye. Okay, as much I liked what they did with Bullseye, but it wasn't a very faithful adaptation of his character for the comics. We can get more with him. The Hand is a great villain for Matt and for a number of other characters, but I want them to do it differently than the way they did the Hand in the show. I think that was actually kind of a weak point in the way they chose to go with the Hand.
The Hand needs to be way more dangerous.
Do you think they would get a major suit change at all to him, or no?
I hope so. I genuinely hope
to Daredevil.
Yeah, they'll change the suit. They'll definitely.
They're definitely going to change the suit. But I got a question.
I'd love for them to go spandex and be the first time they fucking did that. Not the basketball.
That'd be sick.
Just straight up.
Do you think they should bring the actress back who played Elektra? You think they should
Ellie Young? I think so. I would be totally fine with that. Yes.
She was good. I mean, they didn't. You didn't have all the aspects of Elektra that we know from the comics, but I think she did a good job, man. I liked her as Elektra. She was just like her. Yeah, from the comics, the face and the hair was on point, But I just think that the chemistry between them two was really good on screen, man.
Yeah. All right, Leo, I'll give you back control. And actually, well, that's a good segue.
I definitely would keep that actress and just give her more to do, because I feel like anything that would be negative was, she was just. I
think she definitely pulled it off. She pulled it off well. I just thought that they should have gave, again, just like Matt, she has layers as well.
Tons of layers, yeah.
Tons of layers. And that's what the one main thing I don't want them to screw up is those two characters, how in-depth she is, how dangerous she is as well, bro.
Yeah.
Like she's really, 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 really dangerous, bro.
So
And I want that.
I want more of the red suit with the bandana and everything too for her too,
yeah.
man.
So
That'd
this
be
is
cool.
the death of Daredevil, death of Elektra, 181 on my iPad right here. So this was when Bullseye kills her. All right, and they even teased it on the cover. It's kind of overexposed because I got a light there, but like, so this is great, and I have this on my iPad so I can read it. But this arrived today. CGC 9.8 graded, issue 181, published in April of 1982, the year of my birth. And this is, I know people throw around the term grail a lot. This is a fucking grail for me in my
that's
collection.
a grail piece.
This is like so special to me, and it literally got delivered today.
Wow.
So that was perfect timing. But if you collect, graded comics, I mean, I stick to the characters that I absolutely love for mostly, when it comes to graded comics. But this thing is an absolute grail to me. To find a 9.8 of this from 1982 is pretty hard. There are a lot of like 7s, and then there were a couple like 9.2s and 9.6s, but I really wanted to find a 9.8, and I managed to. And I'm also going to be hunting down a couple more. I want to get a 9.8 of the first appearance of Echo. And there are a couple other ones. There are some recent ones that haven't shot up in value quite just yet because they're newer. When Elektra takes on the Daredevil suit in this most recent run. So I want to pick those upgraded because I guarantee you those are going to go up in value pretty soon too. But the fact that I was able to find this, and it's pristine, and the colors, it just is absolutely amazing. I know Terry Smith, when I told him that I got this, he literally just said, "You son of a bitch." That's all he said to me. So, but I thought I would, share this with everybody as I teased it on Instagram earlier today. But yeah, it's my baby. This is like, I have that Alex Ross 9.8 graded Detective Comics 1000. And I love that, but I think I love this a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot more. Because that's
a beauty, man.
Fucking Daredevil, man. And I'm a diehard Daredevil fan. So there's that.
That's awesome.
Dope. That's pretty dope, bro.
Congrats on that one.
Costly, bro. Those CGC prints, man. I'm telling you, bro. There's one I got my eye on.
I only had like
I'm not even gonna talk about it right now, but
they can be, but they can be, but man, you get this like buzz when you hold them in your hand when it's like. Again, more so like this one than the Alex Ross one is cool, but the Alex Ross, I mean, Detective Comics 1000 just came out, in the last couple of years. That is like, that was literally, that book was fucking printed the year I was born. It was actually printed a couple months before I was born.
Yeah.
That shit is older than me. And when you hold one of those in your hand, you get this tingle, man. You get the Peter tingle.
Yeah, that's why when y'all keep pushing to get figures, it's like, nah, I put my budget into old CGCs. Like that's what I've.
But you know that one of the cool things, Vinny, if you kind of combine the two, is and guys, if you haven't checked it, if you haven't checked this guy out, check out this guy Pudgy. I'm not just calling that for shits and giggles. That's what he goes by. But he is a regular on the Friday night stream on Collecting Weekly, Collectors Club at 11 o'clock. And his Instagram is Pudgy's Polystone Picks. Okay. He likes the alliteration. But he shows like what his thing, he does these great like pictures of this photography of statues, and then the comic books that statue was like inspired by. next to it. And sometimes they're like ones that he has graded. Sometimes it's just ones that like he had in his collection from back 40 years, like, you know, when he was a kid. But so Pudgy's Polystone picks, definitely check him out. But he does like that's the Captain America premium format, and then the comic book next to it. Like, and it's cool just seeing those two elements of the collecting sphere like combining, and it makes for some cool. And like Lael, I said, whatever piece you're eyeing, think about how you could pair that with some Hot Toys and make a really cool display in your collection, and it sets it off. It's a really cool. It's a really cool thing. You're not gonna collect as many of them as you are Hot Toys, but if you think strategically about the ones you pick up and envision a display that combines them, you could. And Vinny, same thing. Think of some Hot Toys that you could put in, you know, your CGC displays. You could come up with some really fun stuff, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
You really could.
You still ordered that Luke Skywalker, didn't you?
Yeah, just didn't get her yet. I might grab that Moon Knight too, though.
Do you have any graded Moon Knight?
Yeah, Werewolf by Night 32.
Dude.
So do I.
That I mean, if you don't do it yourself, hook up with Lael, and you guys get the comic and the figure when it comes out, and you get some really cool shots together with that.
That'd be sick.
It's a fun way to just kind of like add a spin to the collection and displays and photography and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
But
there's
so we gotta let me just kind of go ahead and look at this chat real quick. We got a question by 1/6 Scale Army. How do I start reading comics?
Oh, that's loaded.
That's a loaded thing, man. It's not really.
Well, I would say for tonight's topic, at least when it comes to Daredevil, my recommendation that I think is a great starting off point would actually be the same place that I recommended that they start his run in the MCU, which is 1998's Guardian Devil that Kevin Smith wrote. And then that takes you right through, honestly, some of my favorites with David Mack, Brian Michael Bendis, and then Ed Brubaker. And you can go, I'm literally, to show you, like, I'm serious about that, I've started a reread. I'm binging straight through from 1998 all the way to 2022 Daredevil comics.
For an average regular person, what I would suggest is if you are asking that question and you're here, you probably are a fan of superheroes through TV, movies. So whoever is one of your favorite movie,
pick a character,
pick that character. And what I would suggest is don't just blindly go buy a comic book because you'll be lost. Go and look up recommendations of best trade paperbacks of that character. So if your favorite comic book character that you've seen on screen is Thor or Spider-Man or Batman, just Google best trade paperbacks for Batman, Thor, Spider-Man, and then go on Amazon, just pick one. Most trade paperbacks are self-contained 6-issue arcs. And a lot of them have famous arcs that have, self-contained stories, as opposed to a single comic book that's going to start off somewhere where you don't know what just happened and end where you're going to have to go and pick up another book. And then what you do is, if you find that story compelling or entertaining, you can then either go find singles that continue that story, or you can go pick up a new issue from that character story and then just find it, a jumping on point. It's kind of like, don't think of it like a movie or a TV show where you have to know everything that happened before. Think about it like sports. If you are a 15-year-old kid who decided that you want to check out NFL or NBA and you like the Celtics, and then you just turn on the Celtics game, you're not going to know 70 years of the games that happened before. You just watch that game and then just watch the next game and on and so forth.
Go into your local comic book shop and ask
and look up those other games. So you can just figure out a character that you like, and then what will happen is once you figure out that you like comics or not, then you will be able to just keep going and going, adding on more. It seems intimidating and daunting, but you don't have to read everything of even a specific character, let alone all the comics, period. It's just like saying, how do I start watching TV? Just pick a show, start watching it.
My first one on my first Superman comic paperback.
If you're watching, like you said, like if there's a character that you've gravitated towards, start with history. You can get history, kind of get a recap of history of that particular character, and then
feel free to message any of us on
Yeah.
any character that you like, and we'll be able to tell you
Yep.
half a dozen books to
Any
start
kind of
off with.
history, what
Yeah.
books to
All
read.
of us
Where you
know
wanna go,
any
where books to
character that
get.
you like, we'll be
Yeah.
able to help you out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
do that. Now, here's the thing: is I will tell you this. As a comic, if you're looking to get into comics, number one rule to anybody who is a comic book fan: stay off of Wikipedia. Seriously,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you get
seriously.
You'll get
the
stuff
whole
ruined
gist.
for you, and then they'll tell you shit that is not true.
That's not
And
true.
it just it
Stay
ruins the
away from
experience.
Wikipedia
Yeah, any
because it's
person can
always
edit.
updated. It's slightly updated and augmented, and they'll throw you in places that it's like, wait a minute, the
Start here
the
and go here.
continuity is
No.
not your greatest. So
Mhm.
stay away from that. There are, again, we have digital sites
Tons
that
of
you can actually
shops to
go
go
to get
to, bro.
history.
Yep.
Shop.
And if you can,
Yeah.
there's always digital comics, but if you can, if you
Mhm.
have a brick and mortar shop near you, support
Go
them.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Go
support
there,
them.
Go support the
them.
mom and pop comic book shops, man. They need us.
Yeah.
And in most
Ask your
cases,
local
they can
comic
even
book
tell
shop
you.
guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
99% of the time, they are super happy to talk to a
Yeah.
new reader.
Explain
They'll
whatever
give you
you
a-
need.
If you like Spider-Man or Daredevil,
Yeah.
whoever, and be like, hey, I'd like to start collecting this, and they'll pull that new issue every single month, and then
Yeah.
you get it. You usually get a
Yeah.
discount if you get it on your pull list, and then you just
Yep.
go from there. And just
Now, don't be Lael and wait and don't go pick up your pull list for like 3 months and then
You
Oh
only get
my
and then
God.
blame me
Yeah.
because it cost an arm and a
Busy.
leg to go and empty his
But
box.
You
Your
still
comic
didn't
shop
go
will
through that? Yeah, I know you did it by now.
Yeah,
What
your
you mean?
comic book shop will only
Oh,
let
yeah, I
you
got
I know you got them by now.
buy way too many books like me and Leo or any of us. Like if you have
Mhm.
a huge pile when
You
you go
build
in,
up cred
the way
with
your
them,
owner
though, and
will
they'll
give
be
let you get away with
lenient.
it.
Yeah.
My boy
That's
calls
the
me
thing
all the
is like
time.
they'll call me and they'll remind me and he'll let
Yeah.
me
He'll
know.
call
I'll
me.
get,
Yeah.
I'll get a friendly email or so, and then I
Mhm.
go and then
And here's
Get
the thing:
your
I
ass out here
still
to the
read
store.
physical books when I can, and I love to have the physical
Mhm.
books. But MB Dyson raises a good point. Sometimes you don't have the space for the physical books. I mean, look at the wall behind Vinny. I mean, not everybody can devote the space to that. That's where an iPad, can come in handy with the digital comics. So like for a lot of stuff I use Comixology, and they're innovating too in the way you can dynamically do like one panel at a time. So there's a reveal, and because again, I love the physical books, but there is something to be said for when you turn the page in a physical book, you see the whole thing right in front of you. And sometimes your eye is drawn to a frame, to a panel that you don't want to see yet because it kind of spoils something. And with the dynamic swiping on an iPad or another tablet, we're using like Comixology or Marvel Unlimited, you can go one panel at a time, and so each one is a new reveal. Again, I love the physical media, but sometimes you can't devote the space to that. And doing it on your iPad is a good way of being able to download it instantly and not having to like run out, if schedule, like layout stops you for like 3 months from going to pick up your pull list. So, that is an option too. But like ultimately, it's like we always want to support the brick and mortar, our local shops, but figure out whatever is the easiest way for you to get into comics. As long as you're getting into them, that's the most important thing, because they're just, I mean, you're going to appreciate all the shows and movies that we're watching so much more when you have a love and respect for the source material that's inspiring all of this stuff. And we're coming up on the 60th anniversary for so many characters. Like this year, Spider-Man, Thor, Fantastic Four. Look, we're getting, we're only a couple of years away from the 60th anniversary for Daredevil. There's a lot of cool shit. I agree, physical media is great, but sometimes it's just not doable.
Like Stan Lee says,
Gotta have the room. Gotta have the room for it,
great,
man.
but it's better to hold in your hands.
Yeah,
You got it. And here's the thing. Also,
Yeah, definitely have the room, bro.
Also, 1/6 scale army, separate your room wherever your 6 scales are. Sometimes you have to separate your room. I say that as a person that doesn't and cannot have my comics in the same space. I say that because it's a distraction for me.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
So
All my
I have to
comics are
separate Yeah,
Sword.
I have my comics separated in a totally
Sometimes
different
it's
room.
hard to read them because you just want to like pose this guy,
You
Yep.
know what I
you
mean?
know, and
So
you're like,
Yep.
come
make sure you do
on.
that. Don't have it in the same
Yep.
room. But
It's hard,
real
but-
quick, because we only got
You
5
see what
minutes
he's
left. I'm
going
gonna shut
for
this
now,
down.
bro?
I'm gonna shut this down at an hour and a half,
Yeah.
though. So real quick, because it's 1:25. Real quick,
Mhm.
so knowing that where we are now, with Daredevil, knowing that, okay, the beauty of this is that yes, we're going to get a continuation, not a continuation, but we are going to get a version, and we're going to get Matt Murdock. Charlie Cox is going to actually play and portray the character once more. We know that we basically have, now here's the thing, we have faith in Kevin Feige, but Kevin Feige doesn't have the iron hand over these IPs like he used to. Like he
Oh,
doesn't
man.
have, like he literally
He
doesn't
doesn't have final say over the trailers anymore
at all.
He was
I
putting
He
his
hate
doesn't
to
other
have
hear
Doctor
that,
Strange
final
man.
say.
trailers.
I hate to hear that.
That's,
I hate to hear
that's the
that, man.
problem. But at the same time, I have hopes that they can kind of reel it in and make sure that the character is definitely taken, is taken care of.
I
I
just want a
do
good
want us to
story.
get a solid, I want us to definitely get a solid, we have to get a solid bullseye. And I hope they dive into that story and don't give us a cheesy version, not a cheesy version. Give us bullseye the right way.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what I want eventually. But I
Yes.
don't think that's the story that they're going to tell right off the back. And it's going to be a character. And that's the thing is, if we get the series, I hope it's not, okay, Kevin Feige and your team or anybody from the, if you're listening, you can't give us a limited run. You can't give us just a 6
No.
episode
No.
and say
No.
it's
Gotta be
done.
at least 12.
It has to be a
At
continuation,
least
man.
12 episodes, bro.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
10.
tired of these
I
6
don't think they're
episode
going to
things.
do that. When you think about the fact that they brought Vincent D'Onofrio in Hawkeye, the fact that they brought Charlie Cox in on No Way Home, and the fact that they started Echo out in Hawkeye, and now Echo's getting a show, I think he's because I think his love for the character is showing, and I don't think he wants to do a one and done and then just be like, okay, now he's going to maybe pop up in a movie or something like that. Like I think that he really does want to make this a thing, and eventually you're going to get to the point where when you're doing these shows on Disney Plus, they can't all be one and done seasons. You have to give these characters room to breathe, and not all of them are going to get theatrical releases. So let's do multiple seasons.
Give him some space, man.
Yeah,
I believe
think they will with
his
Daredevil.
all in
I
this,
think they
bro.
will.
I believe he really wants to play his all in this show, and
I hope he's building to Marvel Knights. I hope he's building to a Marvel Knights show or film.
Right. I mean, he loves Daredevil, so hopefully, I'm praying and hoping that we got good writers, and I'm hoping that he has a lot of input on decisions with this show.
Yeah. Here, what they have to do is lean in to the benefits of streaming. And we talked about this when we were talking about Moon Knight, where it's like, they said that they cut like a scene here and there for time.
With the Eternals and stuff.
Like, you're streaming. You don't have to fit in commercials. Like, what is it? Like, you don't have to cut anything for time. Look at Stranger Things. Hour and a half episodes, and then the last 2 episodes in July are going to be like 2.5 hour movies each, practically, right? So
when they said that, I didn't
have
understand
that freedom. You have that freedom. So here's the thing: tell the story in however many episodes it needs to be told properly. That means if one season is 8 episodes and the next one is 10, or one is 6 and the next one is 12, whatever. Like I don't care about the episode count. I mean, obviously, if it's good, you want more, right?
Yeah, but
exactly. The episode count is not the priority. The story is the priority. However many episodes it requires to tell that story the right way, that's what I want them to give us. And I hope that's what they lean into with this show and all the other shows that they move forward with, is that give us the story, and however many episodes it takes, whatever the runtime is, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what we need. I mean, that's the thing is, it's like, give us the solid storytelling. Give us a beyond 6 episode arc.
Yeah,
and just let it breathe. I think that they have. The thing is, if you let it breathe, if you give it the level of depth that it deserves, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. If you
Also, remember, there's one thing too, is that comic books are really good about in the middle of a run, you have an issue that is not necessarily like the next part in a run, but it gives you something. 2 episodes, yeah, without the main character at all. But so comic books are really good at giving us these insert issues, right? Like kind of like what they did with Mando on Boba Fett, where it's like a standalone episode that's separated from it, but do it in a better way that like, because you still like the show, but like that's the thing is that storyline that I mentioned earlier about Ben Urich and Leapfrog's kid and you being in the catatonic state. That's a great story. Okay. That could be one episode in the middle of a season to really drive home the importance of the character of Ben Urich and his relationship with Daredevil. And then we pick back up with the main story, going through. So, and then there's another one where with Echo's first run, all right, where her and Matt are battling and running across the rooftops and then in a park. And it's actually in the Ben Affleck and Coolio vehicle starring, Daredevil movie, when, Matt Murdock and Elektra are fighting in the park. That was actually taken from Echo and Matt Murdock. But there's they basically do an additional, they call it like a half issue where it shows from like 4 different perspectives, these different people that were all going through these things in their lives. And that all of a sudden, like this fight was happening and then it impacted them. Like one guy was about to kill himself because he had MS and he didn't want his family to have to deal with the burden of taking care of him and the cost of the medical bills. But ultimately then their fight knocked this other guy off of this roof and onto his car, and there was like $1 million reward for this criminal. So the guy's life has changed because now he doesn't have to kill himself. Now they've got the money. Like, and there were like 4 different stories happening around that main fight that we saw in the previous issue. So they can do stuff like that that's really powerful storytelling as insert episodes into these that aren't filler, but they're expanding on the stories and the characters and the mythos in effective ways to give us more content to flesh these seasons out more. So it's not just like 6 episodes. Comic books are really good at giving us those insert episodes or issues. Spider-Man does it a lot now with like, be like 82 and then 82.5 and then 83 and stuff like that. So I think that they should do more of that kind of storytelling in these shows, because you can do that easily in shows, not on film though. So give us some more of that to more accurately emulate the style of storytelling that we get in the comics. And I think it'll pay off.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, it's been a great discussion. Everybody out there, it's been a great discussion. Cross your fingers. Who knows where we're going to go next? But I think, I want to say for now, it's in good hands. I just want to actually see where it's going to go and how they're going to handle it. At least we're getting more great discussion for any type of content. If you want to go back and read, some classic issues of Daredevil, there's a lot of us here, mainly Brendan, that can actually take you through a solid run in the history of the character. Most of us definitely can. But yeah, great show, great discussion. So glad to have everybody here. Thanks everybody for basically being here. Vinny, what you got coming up next, bro?
And just work. I'm working on some few art projects. I'm trying to find time, pull time out of thin air to do some pieces I want to do based off of Kenobi. There's I believe, Miss Marvel's right around the corner.
Yes.
Boys is rolling. That's been amazing. Stranger Things, that's been great so far. Just a lot of content. So just work and try to catch up on some art in between the cracks, man. Just Civilized Scoundrels on Thursdays, talking to Kenobi.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be incredible.
So I mean, that's been just blowing my mind. It's like nostalgia, pure and uncut raw.
Uncut raw. That's uncut what it is. Uncut raw.
Mainline and nostalgia, man.
Straight up, man. Straight up. So as always, everybody, you know where to follow him. Vinny on Vincent Dunn Art. His store information is there if you want to pick up some prints. So definitely make sure that you actually tune in on that. Jedi Pimp, aka young Lou Rawls. What's going on with you, brother? What you got?
It's been busy with work, man, and I gotta go pick up my figures. I haven't done it yet.
So
I paid them all.
You got sitting over there?
Batgirl, the Captain America, the one from the original suit 2012, from Endgame.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to get my Amanda, the big one, and my books. Yeah. We had a storm down here last weekend and a little one this weekend, and where I live now, our area flooded. So one of my cars got messed up. It's going to the shop tomorrow. So I've been busy, bro. So I haven't been able to really buckle down and get my figures in. But I have been watching Obi-Wan and the Boys. That Boys show, that season 3 is off the chain. They have not pulled any punches, bro.
Yeah. One episode every weekend, every week, every Friday, man.
Dude,
Garth Ennis is a nut.
Dude, he is a psychopath, dog. Oh my god! And I haven't watched Stranger Things yet. I gotta catch up on that. Other than that, man, that's
it's
it.
dope. Stranger Things is dope. I made sure that I actually watched everything. I've binged pretty much everything. I've been Stranger Things in like 2 days. So
I tried to milk it. Yeah, I let it stretch over the whole Memorial Day weekend because I didn't want to get through it quick and then be sad. So I stretched it out.
Well, see, I got through it knowing that we're going to actually get, July 1st is going to be when we get.
Yeah, it's not that far out.
I can't. It's like with a Twizzler, bro. You give me one, I gotta have the whole bag. Like,
I get it though.
They did it for subscribers, so people will come on with like a free.
They got too many people. They got too many people dumping Netflix. They gotta keep them.
Yeah.
They want to keep people on for at least one more cycle. Like if people, I'm gonna watch and then I'll cancel Netflix because there's nothing else I want to watch right now. They want to keep people on for at least 2 billing cycles, especially if they start a free trial. Because if they start a free trial, they don't want them to then cancel because I watch what I want during the free trial. They want to keep them on for at least 1 month to get that money.
Keep them on the hook.
They stick around. So it was annoying that they were splitting it up, but then I kind of understood why.
I get it.
Yeah, it's a business decision. It wasn't this was not driven by the creative of the show. This was entirely a Netflix business decision, and I can't fault them for it.
Definitely. Anyway, man.
One thing I want to ask before you hang up the phone. One thing I want to ask.
The phone.
Why didn't Vader jump over the fire?
He's on dial-up.
Why didn't he?
Oh,
I'm on dial-up. Yeah,
bro. So here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing, bro.
And he's in his prime now. This is his prime.
He didn't want.
Listen. Obi-Wan is basically.
I know he wanted to play with it. I know he wanted to
He wants. And on top of that, bro. Like you're number one. Here's the thing, bro. Be
careful because I don't think some people in the chat have watched the most recent episode.
So
I'll leave it alone.
I'll put it to you this way, bro. Like
let's talk afterwards.
As anybody, if you have an opponent, if you have like this rage against somebody, bro, are you going to fight them at their weakest point, or do you want more of a challenge?
It depends on the kind of person you are.
Yeah, you're talking to me because I've had some. And we YouTube, we're live, so I've beaten. So
just think about that. Just think about that. Like that's there's a lot that goes into it, and we'll have I said, just tune in on Thursday because like I said, it'd be more discussion about linking the last episode with this episode because it's going to be a lot.
We got to talk about that. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see that. But if you haven't already, follow Jedi Kid Master G on Instagram, man, as well. If you see a lot of purple and green, that means that's the pimp colors that you'll actually see just throughout his page. So definitely make sure.
And Figure Flex, I'm so sorry about Friday.
Nah,
please forgive
me.
It was a mistake.
Too late. It's funny,
bro. I apologize.
No apologies.
It's funny. Too late. But definitely make sure you follow him. Real Riley, man. What you got coming on? Butt naked. What you got coming up next, man?
Well, Wednesday, Ms. Marvel, episode 1. So I'm looking forward to that. My daughter's really looking forward to that. I just got her.
What time is that? Is it around the same time, or is it after Obi-Wan?
I think they just drop at the same time.
Oh, okay.
The
Shit.
same time they come out.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see that more and more because as you get
That'd be the
more and
first
more
time to
Marvel
happen,
and
right?
Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the first time
this is the first
It's
time
the
where
first
they've
time
both
it's
on the
happened.
same day.
that they overlap. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Same day.
but we're gonna see that more and more just because I mean, as you create more and more shows, you're gonna have that overlap with Star
Yeah,
Wars and
I
Disney.
think
Yeah,
they were
bumping.
going out of the way
Mhm.
to avoid that, and I don't want them to. It's like if it
No.
overlaps, it overlaps. Like,
Dude, if you
Yeah.
drop 2 shows
got
on a day, that just means I got 2
Yep.
shows to watch that day. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yep.
So yeah, so we got
Tales of a
we got-
Jedi, Andor.
Yeah, so we got that on Wednesday. My daughter's really psyched. She just read the Ms. Marvel #1. I got her the trade paperback, and she's going through that. So she's psyched for that on Wednesday. So looking forward to that. Other than that, I'm just gonna be binging the hell out of Daredevil comics again. So if you have any questions about like where to jump in or specific questions about arcs and characters and whatnot, feel free to DM me. Like I said, I started with Guardian Devil in 1998, and I'm going all the way back through to 2022, reading these books like rapid fire. So definitely, check those out. DM me if you have any questions. I think maybe we can set up some future streams where we like pick like a specific run, a specific arc, and then do a deep dive on those, and maybe kind of how they might, be adapted potentially for the MCU. So yeah, we can do stuff like that. And then this weekend, I'm going to a very nice beach house, and I'm staying there for the whole weekend on the Cape.
Yeah.
Bringing the family down with this like gorgeous, like $8,000 a week beach house that I'm getting to stay at for free. Well, not
That's
necessarily
awesome.
because I'm filming a promo video for the property there, but like we get to go down and spend a long weekend there with the family. So,
Mhm.
That's
so yeah,
cool.
that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. And otherwise, I'll just do my regular thing of waking up in the morning and pissing excellence.
If you haven't already, man, I knew that was coming. But if you haven't already, follow Real Raleigh Max Effort Collecting on Instagram, and make sure you did support as always. If you haven't already, become a member of the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel. On Wednesday, of course, we will have Say What. Who knows what will be released, but do got some things to talk about on that show. So stay tuned. Followed by Thursday, Uncivilized Scoundrels, where we will be breaking down episode 4 of Obi-Wan. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be crazy, insane. I can't wait.
Leo, you gonna go play some cards tonight?
Not tonight. Definitely not tonight.
You're not gonna crack that. You're not gonna crack that deck open.
Not tonight. Definitely not tonight.
Have you looked at them?
Yeah, well, I haven't had a chance because I've been working pretty much all day, but I saw the cards, but I just haven't opened them yet. So definitely it's gonna be. You got me some Doom cards. Okay, I'll show y'all the next show. I'll show y'all next Monday what it is though, but it'd be dope. And then back here, of course, on Friday, for Figure Flex Friday, of course, we're still following through with the May mashup madness. So definitely follow through with that. I get my Mark V Iron Man Hot Toys. It basically arrives on Thursday, probably Wednesday, so I can't wait for that.
It's your favorite armor.
That's my favorite. Mark V. That's from Iron Man 2. Remember
Centurion armor.
Silver Centurion, the
Yeah, the
one
Silver-
from
yeah.
the track at Monaco.
You know what? I wish it had
yeah.
the proper chest logo though.
Yeah.
It's not
The Silver Centurion,
Yeah.
the triangle.
It should
Bro,
be.
it's
Yeah, I got
so
that. That's a dope armor, bro.
Yeah,
It's so dope. It's my favorite armor, bro. That is my favorite armor.
You got the reissue or the OG?
It's a reissue.
yeah.
It's
The
a
reissue just dropped last week.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
skipped
a
that
Oh,
one
with the
because I'm
magnetic
getting the
pieces?
Mark V suit up version.
Well, see, that's the thing is I'm getting both the Mark V suit up and that one because I want the transition. It's going to look really nice.
Do you have
But
Whiplash?
I'll have that. Huh?
Do you have Whiplash?
Yeah, I got Whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
Okay, all right.
both
Good.
have-
Oh yeah, okay, all right. I just making sure because
we
there's
both
so
have
many
Whiplash.
people who were like running back, be like, oh man, they're reissuing Mark V. Now I got to go back and get Whiplash because I didn't get him, when he came out.
But yeah, we got that toy.
Yeah,
There was a
Whiplash.
Toy Fair exclusive. We got that right off the back. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Definitely
Yep.
excited about that. But yeah, so it'll be a couple of things running. I'm actually working on my mall video. I put out the Ahsoka video the other day. The mall
Yep.
video I'm working on right now. So I have a couple of things that I'm backed up on, but I'm still kind of, crunching through it. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then back for another discussion on Sunday, which is Collectors Lounge International. And yeah, it's going to be some fun times, man. Some things coming up, great things coming up. So, definitely stay tuned. But yeah, till next week, man. Everybody out there in the chat, hello to you guys. MB Dyson, Renz Talentino, my daughter Skylar, Latoya T, Luminar, my man Tobar. Let's see who else we got out there. Il Yankee, 1/6 scale army, definitely. Malika Mabane, Charlie the Unicorn. Let's see here. Who else we got? Luminar said, definitely thank you for coming through. Rodney, thank you for being here. I said Ill Yankee already. Thank you for being here. So many of y'all, everybody out there, man. We love y'all. Till next week. Same time, same channel. William Owens, everybody out there, man. Thank you for being here, being part of the show.
Oh, Lael, sorry.
Yo.
Before you finish, just one thing that I wanted to recommend to people. I'm still way behind. I'm catching up with like a lot of my Marvel stuff, so I haven't been reading DC a lot, and I'm gonna be catching up in a couple months probably with all of my DC. But there is one thing that I had to start reading immediately when they put out the first issue the other week, and it's Batman Fortress. It's a miniseries written by Gary Whitta, the Rogue One, the writer of Rogue One. If you watch the Kind of Funny network, Kind of Funny Games, it's like a gaming and podcast network. He's a contributor to that. He's regular on the Xcast and Kind of Funny Games Daily. But he's a phenomenal writer. He wrote my favorite Star Wars piece of content of all time in Rogue One. And he's writing this Batman run. It's basically about an alien kind of, strategic invasion of Earth. And Batman's trying to rally the troops, and Superman is nowhere to be found. And he's got to try and figure out where Superman is, what's going on there. He's got to try and get into the Fortress of Solitude. There's it's a really, really cool concept. And it just started the other week. So definitely check Batman Fortress out, especially if you like Rogue One. His writing style I love, and so that's a treat. So I would definitely check that out if you're interested.
Definitely, man. Again, everybody, thank you for actually coming through. Again, we will see you guys next week, same time. As always, peace and love. Stay geek, stay collection, and we'll see you next week. Peace out. That was the wrong intro. All the time, do that.
Every week.
So many. Here we go. We out.